It's day one of me becoming an animated filmmaker. This is a year I built my movie making skills. So the goal is I want to become a beast at pre-production, production, post-production, using art, writing, and Blender, and I want to share my updates along the way. If you clicked on this video, you're probably my kind of person because you like story, you like animation, probably creativity in general, and hearing people talk about the processes. So yeah, I'm glad you're here. Let's get straight into it. You clicked on this video and learned about someone on the animation filmmaking journey. So I've got a story I'm working on. It's a kung fu revenge fantasy story. I'm really excited about it. It's super early, like it's very fuzzy. I don't really know the shape of the story 100% yet, but I did some like really scribbly concept sketches. I'm gonna go ahead and show you to them right now. Okay, so main character has to go through some hard stuff if he's got revenge coming up later, right? And this is kind of like a shadowy assassin-y executioner dude that like comes into his village and kills a bunch of peeps. And then there's like a leader dude that also comes into the village, and so he's like the leader dude and he's like the enforcer. I don't know what this is, but it's cool and I feel like it'll show up in the story. I don't like that and I didn't like that some of these things were behind it, but I do really feel like this sells the emotion, and that's really cool. And so that was a fun first glimpse into like seeing my story, which was cool. This is some of the storyboard practice that I'm starting to do on my Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. So this is from Seven Samurai. Akira Kurosawa, amazing director. So I just wanted to, and cinematographer, I just wanted to like really learn how he told these stories. This is like an old film, like black and white. It's incredible if you haven't seen it. And then Kubo and the Two Strings is one of my favorite movies of all time. So this one was actually interesting because I would actually go and like pull up the script, and then when the script would say like, there's a big moon in the sky, it almost looks like a glowing eyeball. I had to draw it from imagination. I wasn't referencing the movie visually. I wasn't referencing anything else. And then same thing with like a big giant wave comes and covers up the moon. You see a small boat on a giant stormy ocean in a stormy night, in the ocean, so on and so forth. So like each thing that was described, I had to draw it from my own imagination, like be like a true storyboarder. So it was honestly really good practice. You can obviously tell that these are much more clean than I think these are, but these are ones that are like stretching my brain to go in a new way, which I think is going to ultimately make me a better filmmaker. And then another day, I was too brain dead to try and come up with my own, so I just did some Kill Bill studies. The fact that my story is like a revenge kung fu movie, I thought Kill Bill made a lot of sense to go study because, well, Kill Bill. And I love how dynamic all the shots are and how clear they are. Like obviously close up, super clear, but the silhouette with this is so good. You feel like they're so powerful and you're so weak, and they're all looking down at you like, oh, you poor thing. And then like the contrast between like this and this is like the same deal. Like now she's the one towering above, like super epic and amazing. It's just so good, right? So that was a really fun one to do. And then I've been working also on just like fundamentals of face, like how do you do face stuff. I didn't get as far in this one as I wanted to go, but also working on body proportions and just taking some notes on that. And then hair has always been a struggle, and so I'm aiming to go 3D. I'm also potentially going like 2.5D, so I want to be able to like animate hair, hands, and face 2D potentially. We'll see how it goes once I get there, but at the very least I still wanted to learn the fundamentals of hair, and so this was a great tutorial. Okay, I was going to show you what those two different tutorials were from the face and the body and the hair, but OBS, which I'm using to record this, was being all wonky. So instead, I'll just drop the links to those videos down below. You can check them out if you also want to practice the same things I'm practicing. I don't know, if that's interesting to you. But and then I want to also just share, like, it's been really fun. I've been using a book called Coffee Break Screenwriter to work on my scripting and, building up my story. And that's been really helpful because it kind of goes step by step. It shows you a lot of different exercises and tools to help you take care of the next section of the writing. But yeah, I don't think every tool is going to be perfect for me, but I've already found a few tools that kind of really changed fundamental things about story for me. Action leads to emotion, and then emotion leads to action. And they break it down further in the book, but it really helps me to really think instead of when I'm writing, I'm like, okay, what action happens? Okay, and then what emotions does that create in all the characters in the scene? And then what actions result from those emotions? And spelling it out so clearly is kind of like mentally taxing, but like also really rewarding because there's a cause and effect that happens with the characters that just feels more solid and just better. And honestly, like guides the planning of what I'm going to do so much more intentionally. It feels pretty good. Okay, last but not least, but also I'm learning Blender, because that's what I want to make my movies in. And so let me show you, I'm really early on into Blender. It's really wild. Alright, this is super fun. So, before I show you, the idea of this, the first lesson, and this is on YouTube, I'll post it down below as well, it's essentially make like a little Minecraft thing of pillars, grass, and dirt. And I had done it, I redid the tutorial from memory, and then I wanted to just jump in and redo it from memory, but like change some stuff up. Then I just made the pillars slightly different and like the grass and dirt size slightly different. But then I was just like, okay, I want to see what I can do if I just play around in Blender and try and figure out some animation by myself and maybe some like texturing by myself. And so I made this, and it's kind of like a floating, in Blender there's a monkey head that you can just like populate. So I'll show you. Alright, so first off, this is the scene before hitting play. So the original pillars didn't have the metal parts and they weren't as tall, and for the monkey head, the texture of this is actually from a painting I did, but it came out really cool, so that's fun. If we get close, you can kind of see the little squares, the typology, and then that's the cool sun and everything else. But if I hit play, we see what I did with the animation and just trying to figure stuff out. And it's wild, right? It makes no sense, but it's really happy. Oh man, like it really feels like so fun to make stuff. I mean, look at it, and I love how like this is the shot that you're here. It's just looking at you, so intense, and I love it. Super fun. Cool. So that's more of the like tangible, technical, specific things I've been working on. But I want to kind of move into more of the philosophical approach to creativity that I'm at right now, and see if that changes over time. And then just emotionally, how I'm feeling as a creative person. Creative vibes are on high. I feel really energized, really motivated. I often struggle with a need for variety in my creativity. And honestly, figuring out everything for the animation pipeline gives me that variety because I literally have to do everything. And so I'm never bored. And that's really, really happy. Yeah, it just is a good flow that it never feels like too much. And honestly, each one energizes me in a different way. And it's really, really exciting. One of the general mindsets for creativity that's been interesting, how helpful it's been to me, is essentially this idea of being really scribbly. Whether it's with drawing or with writing or Blender, it's essentially the idea of let yourself make mistakes wildly and just go for it and almost feel your way in the dark until you find something. And so it's a lot of like, with writing, for instance, it's generating a lot of ideas and then choosing ideas. More generating a lot of ideas and realizing, I don't like any of these, but do any of these spark something else? And it's kind of full circle for me. So in the world of painting, like abstract painting in particular, I came up with this idea of no bad marks. Every mark I make is either the right one or it will lead to the ones that are. And I really just kept that contained within painting. And now that I'm applying it to my art, so for instance, with these, like these, I used a ballpoint pen, but I was going super, super light at the beginning, and I had an idea of what I was trying to draw, but I was finding it along the way. Which there's a time and a place for like really confident lines that are clean, but for ideation and like figuring out what I want, scribbling is awesome. It's like cloud gazing at seeing like, what do you see in the clouds? But I can generate it at will with drawing, which has been really cool. Same thing with writing and pretty much everything, even Blender, like doing crazy stuff. Routine has been something that's been kind of hard to figure out. Like, I got a job, I got life, I got a wife, I got 2 cats, and so finding the time to do this stuff, it's been interesting to figure out how to balance it all, because there's a lot to learn when it comes to just animation by itself, but especially when you add in like writing stories and character design and environment design and so on and so forth. But I feel like I'm arriving at something pretty good, and yeah, I'm excited about that. And ultimately, my approach to figuring out the routine is that I'm going to figure it out. You know, if I keep iterating, I'm going to figure it out. The basics, really, really rough right now. Really basics are like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do my art fundamentals and writing, and then I do Blender, a little bit of learning every single night. And on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I do like movie studies, like of stills and like storyboard practice. And then I also do like concept art for my story. And Sundays are like my big evaluation day, where I figure out like what's going well and what sucks and what was not fun and how do I make the next week a little bit better, and prep references and anything I can do to make the next week a little bit easier. So that's version 1. We'll see if this routine sticks, but so far it's working pretty good, and I think I'm really figuring out this content was the last piece of how do I make that work. And so I'm trying to make it as stupidly easy as possible, but I'll go into that some other time. But just to wrap things up emotionally, and then I'll talk about my plans for, upcoming near future. I don't know the frequency of these videos. I don't want to put too much pressure on them. I just want to make them as I can, and then if I miss them, it's cool. So emotionally, I feel incredible. For the longest time in my life, I just felt like I had to work on creative things that can make me money sooner rather than later. And it like stair-stepped my way up to one day being able to do animation and films and story. And it feels really good to just say, screw it, I'm just going for it, I'm going all in, I'm doing the thing. And I could not be happier with this decision, and I'm real excited just to see what I can do and what kind of stories I'm going to tell and what they're going to look like, and just, to see where I'm at now and to see where I'm going to be in, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, into infinity. And it's just really gratifying. I feel like I'm saying yes to like the true calling inside of my soul, which is pretty good. Yeah, and honestly, like that freedom to let go of the external results and just focus on learning the thing and doing the stuff I want to do, I think it's really exactly what I need to actually make it happen, to truly become an animation filmmaker and tell the stories I want to tell and do the things I want to do. And so, yeah, that's really exciting. I don't know if any of this is helpful to you or interesting to you, but that's my hope. I learn a lot from watching other creative people share their processes and their updates. And so I hope that in some way, hearing me talk about my stuff is maybe helpful to you or less interesting. Plans upcoming. Gonna keep working a lot on like head structures, general body proportions, hair, and then continue on storyboards, and then following along this Blender course. I'm probably doing a lot of the same stuff in the upcoming days and weeks, but I think I'll have fun little different things to show you each time on how those are going. Essentially, I'm just going to keep getting better. I'll keep making stuff, I'll see what happens, and I'll share it with you along the way. Last but not least, I just want to say thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you watched this far, you're incredible, and I really appreciate you. And I wish you the best of luck in your own creative stuff. If you have your own projects and things you're working on, I would love to hear more about them. Just talk about them in the comments below, and let's get to know each other. All right. That is it for today. The goal of these videos is for me to document what I'm doing and not to make the most epic things in the world, as you can probably tell from, I want to make the epic stuff. I don't care about making the video necessarily epic. I really just want to share. Just want to have someone to share the excitement with along the way. And if I talk this long to most people in my life, I think their eyes would start to glaze over. But if you're watching this, you're doing it on purpose. And so thanks, and have a good day. I'll see you in the next one.